Hello and welcome. Got any spoons? I'm your host, Anne, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Amberlyn, aka Mrs. Labeezy, and we have a guest. We have Alison, aka Microcatmachine. So excited for you to join our podcast. You're a celebrity.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously,
No, I'm not. Oh my gosh, you guys are so. I just know. It's silly.
Isn't it awkward when people do that? When they're
What?
like, hey, how many followers do you have? Oh my gosh. And then they make it like this big deal about it. And you're like, I don't even know how I know this many people. I'm sorry. And then I don't know about you. I get awkward. Do you get the same way?
Because I'm very I'm very gregarious and obviously like I seem very extroverted, but like in my real life I'm very introverted and I don't like people to notice me. I want to be like a shadow. I'm a shadow. I want people to not know that I'm around. I'm just creeping a boot, like nobody sees me. Like that's my
Yes.
But yeah, so then it is weird. Like I've only had when I've told some of my healthcare workers though, like I had one guy that was like, "Oh, my son has 300,000 followers." I was like, "Well, I'm a nobody then." So, never mind. I had another doc, like an anesthesiologist. He was like, "Oh, I know Squiggy and someone there. It's a intra-abled couple on TikTok. They have millions of followers too." And he's like, "They're my neighbors." And I was like, "Oh, cool."
Oh, that's nice.
He's
Humble
like, "You
I
brag.
have 700 followers.
yeah."
Yeah.
Oh man. Not even.
No, nobody knows me. It's all good.
I know you. I know
Yeah.
you.
You guys, I missed. Did you guys see it? It was just a 2 seconds. I would check something on TikTok, and Dr. Gumby and random the family medical TikTok doc were having a live together.
He's
Oh
said he's gonna start going live again. He
Who's
is
he?
fun
They're
when
both
he's live.
he's,
You gotta
to my
catch him.
knowledge.
yes.
Alrighty then. We
Mm-hmm.
sometimes do a spoon rating, as in how are you doing today spoon wise. So I believe Amberlin's highest rating is a 7 or an 8.
It's an 8. I'm
Okay, and
sitting at
what
a
is
4
your
today.
rating today, Amberlin? It's a
4.
4 today.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of mine. I'm like, is it in the negatives?
Okay, that's a possibility.
Valid. Are you in a spoon deficit right now?
I'm feeling, yeah, I'm flaring up. Yeah, I mean, obviously my heart's like, I don't know. Yeah. Well, because I cleaned my whole house on Sunday, and I cleaned our sheets on our bed too, which is always so much work.
Mm-hmm.
The laundry machine is downstairs, so I have to go up and down the stairs then, so that's hard. And then I was on live for like 2 hours yesterday. Didn't even mean to, but
It catches up to you,
I feel
especially like
sore.
were
All
you
I can feel.
actively engaged like the whole time?
Yeah, that's the thing with my lives there. It's hard for me to go on live because I can't. I'm nonstop talking, so I can tell by the end. Like I know it's gone so long because my voice isn't working anymore. My brain is like, just gone. And I'm like, wow, how long has it been?
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah,
No wonder you're wondering.
yeah, yeah,
So you're in a negative
totally. Yeah. Always,
Do you have
Oh,
negative?
yeah.
And do you have any projects, Target, that you're working on today?
Any
I'm not
projects that
working
we're
on
working on
anything.
today? I'm just working talking to my therapist, so I'm working on me,
Yes.
my
That's a
brain
good one to work
project.
on.
So
Yeah,
Amberlyn,
yeah, totally. I'll probably do some writing.
all right. So Amberlyn and I have Ehlers-Danlos, the hypermobility type that we have in common, which is why we have little zebra cows. Um, I'm thinking that you are one of the zebras as well. But we brought you on today because you are a POTS aficionado, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And
Ugh.
is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. You have a pretty large clock following, and you go live fairly often, and you help lots and
Yeah.
lots of people. So,
Yeah.
with all the live and all the people that you help, what are some of the top 5 questions that you get that you answer?
Oh, oh man. I mean, it's hard because you guys included some below, I feel like in the, they might come up later. So I feel like I don't want to mention those, but I feel like maybe I just will. I mean, the top 5 questions are almost always like, how do I get a doctor to take me seriously? Because I've been seeing every doctor and telling them that I have all these symptoms or whatever, and they're just like blowing you off. So how do I get a doctor to care about, POTS? Like, because they just aren't taking me seriously. Like how I get a lot of questions like, how do I live with POTS? That's a big thing. Like, how do I manage this? Like, how can I continue to live my life? A lot of people ask me about like testing for POTS, what type of testing there is, which is always, I hate that question because I feel like the testing for POTS is so unfortunate. Everything about POTS is, I mean, all the types of dysautonomy is so unfortunate. There's just not enough known about it. There's not enough research done, not enough information. Definitely not enough doctors know about it, care about it. It's an incredibly common condition. So in theory, like many doctors should know about it. It's not a zebra. It's a horse. It's a big old horse. Okay. It's a giant horse. There's tons of us, but for some
It's a
reason,
Clydesdale.
it's a Clydesdale. It is a Clydesdale, but for some reason you go to the doctor and they're like, I'm not seeing it. Like, never heard
Right?
of Clydesdale. Like, what? It's the biggest
Stable
horse.
safety.
Anxiety.
I mean, come on. It's
Calm down.
Yeah.
causes. Yeah.
Have you tried therapy?
Yeah. Always. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. They always ask that. Yeah. It's always like they think like that it's anxious, just anxiety. Um, a lot of people ask me like how I work with POTS, which is another sad answer. I had to stop working when I like, this kind of like whole, I don't know, since 2020, essentially, since my health really declined. Yeah, I couldn't keep working. So
Yeah.
that's always sad to tell people. I mean, I do this, I make videos, I make like 6. So I mean, it's doing stuff, but I mean, it's obviously not working. I could never do like a 20 or 40 hours. Like that would just be.
Well, it's grief, it's grieving every time you have to reopen that wound and talk about it. You're having to go through that process, that trauma process mentally, whether you're thinking about it subconsciously, you're going through it. And it sucks. Nothing can make that any easier. You're going to have to live with it. It's like the elephant that's always in the room. And it's just one of those things where it's unfair. It's the life, that's the way that the cards were stacked for us, and that's the way that it is.
Yeah, totally. And I try to remind people too, like, just because of, social constructs, we're shown a very like narrow view of like what life can look like. Oh, you live a happy life, you go to college, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you do that whole thing. But like life
Right.
doesn't have to look like that. Life looks many different ways from it. It looks so different for people. It doesn't have to look like that. And just because your life looks different and you deal with these symptoms, like that doesn't mean it's bad, or you can still find
Yes.
stuff. I know it's harder probably, but everyone deals with stuff, so I don't know. But yeah. Yeah. And then that's the other big question I think that I get asked. Like the last one would be just people trying to get on disability too for POTS. That's, I feel like, again, it's just not well known about enough. And so disability lawyers, like, I don't know, do many take it seriously? Like, I don't know. So yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, already with disability being a struggle as is, I can already imagine like only having POTS, not just only POTS is a struggle. Like dysautonomia as is, like POTS is hell. Okay. But trying to explain to someone who doesn't even know what POTS is, like my cardiologist who should know what POTS is, I had to teach him what POTS was. So having to explain to him, hey, I should probably be on disability for this, for something that he didn't even feel I should be diagnosed for. I can't
Yeah.
even begin to imagine what type of an uphill battle that must be like.
Totally. If you can't even find doctors to think it's a big deal, what doctor is going to send a letter in to, advocate for you and say, yeah, they really need to be on. Who's going to, no one's going to speak up
That
for
is
you.
so crappy. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
How old were you when you were diagnosed,
I,
Allison?
I was 31 years old. So I'm trying, right? Like, right? It was December of 2020. I think I turned 30 in 2019. Yeah.
Is that when you started showing symptoms as well?
Is that when sorry.
Is that when you started showing symptoms as well?
Well, so I started showing symptoms as a teen, actually. So I'm also diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and my geneticist, when he was diagnosing me, to diagnose with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I don't know what your doctors did, but my geneticist went like back from when I was a baby and was like, okay, I had insomnia in the crib, and then when I was like 3, I started getting bad foot. And up my whole life, like all the things that happened to me, and when I got to high school time, and I was like, yeah, I would wake up every morning and I would pass out in my morning showers, and I would be trigger warning to emetophobe, so sorry, but I would be like throwing up a whole bunch, and like and I would get like these heart palpitations, like my heart would just start to race. And after like I was in dance, and we would do a 1 3-minute dance, and I would be throwing up excessively afterwards. Like, but why?
Right.
Why am I? Nobody else was. No, everyone else was fine. And I told my geneticist these things, and he's like, "Oh, you had POTS in high school." He's like, "You've had POTS for your life." He's like, I'm guarantee it. But I feel like I honestly feel like I was in remission in my 20s though. And then I think when I hit 30, March 2020, of course, when COVID hit, but for some reason my body was like, oh, we're done. Like, this is turning back
Yeah,
on.
it's time.
I feel like I crashed hard. Yeah. So
Oh,
I mean, my 20s was hard with other symptoms, but not like, and still nausea, stuff, but not necessarily like the racing heart and the like passing out. That was, very much high school for me. So
right.
yeah.
So you were
I don't know.
diagnosed with.
I never. Sorry.
That's like, what?
No, I just said sorry. I always talk over people.
No, you're good.
So you were diagnosed with EDS how many years before POTS? Or
It
at the
was
same
after.
time?
It was after. It was So I was diagnosed with POTS in December of 2020, and then I was diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome in October of 2021, like a year later.
Dang. I'm surprised, especially with your physical features, because you're very linky and like your bendability. They didn't catch it when they diagnosed your POTS. Like, it surprises me. And I know. Believe me, I know. It's one of those things where like there's a lot of us that don't show those physical presentations where like I guess I could see why you wouldn't catch it, but like even with like Marfans, like it's like
Yeah, because I was suspected Marfan just because I have like a lot of Marfan features. I have pectus. I have the long, like spider fingers and like long limbs and stuff. Well, when in 2017, when I dropped out of vet school, I had went through some like physical abuse. Sorry, I don't mean to bring that up or anything, but so anyways, in vet school, it was a very traumatic situation, and I ended up having, when I came home, I got like a back MRI, and I got like a gastric emptying study because I did an endoscopy, and they found that I have food in my belly after 12 hours, and they're like, why is there food in your stomach? That's not normal. And like, but I didn't know about any of this stuff. And at the time, then I started physical therapy, and my physical therapist was like, oh, you're hypermobile. And I was like, yeah, clearly I know I'm double jointed. Like I got that, but I didn't know about any of it. And then even in 2020, when I was before I was diagnosed with POTS, when I didn't know about hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome still. And I saw a rheumatologist, and because I assumed I had an autoimmune condition or some kind of rheumatological condition. And he's like, look at your hands. He's like, you're just hypermobile. And I was like, what do you mean I'm just hypermobile? Like, what do you mean? And he was like, you're just, he's like, that it's not rheumatological. And he was such a jerk, he didn't explain it. And then it took me seeing a second rheumatologist who was like, look at your hands. She's like, you have Marfan syndrome or hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. She's like, you need to go to a geneticist. And I was like, oh, that's what that means. Like, yeah, just because doctors never took the time, But anyways, yeah.
Literally.
Same thing with POTS too. I mean, my parents took me to the doctor. How many times my parents bring me to the doctor for like my morning nausea and me passing out, and like, oh, my daughter's passing out in the shower. They're like, oh, she's just hypoglycemic. It's normal.
That's what they did to me too.
I knew no other person doing it. Nope.
They made my mom carry on glycerin tabs. So anytime my blood sugar would get low or like I'd start to feel faint, she'd be like, "Oh, put this under your tongue."
Oh
So
my God.
my cavities skyrocketed. But those things were horrible. Like
Uh, yeah. So they made my mom. So before I could even get out of bed in high school, my mom had to bring me a snack in bed. She'd have to bring me some juice and a little snack, and I'd have to sit there in bed. I wasn't allowed to get up, even sit up. I had to eat my snack, and then I could
Yep.
slowly get up and get to the shower. Like, oh my gosh, thanks, Potts. Like ridiculous. But yeah, my doctors were like, that's fine. Just
How
do
is this
that.
normal?
Totally fine. Like, what? Not fine. That is not normal.
That's
None
not
of my friends, it's not happening to anyone else I know. Like, no one else I
right.
know is.
I don't
So
know how to tell
yeah.
you this, but I didn't have to do that for any of my children. And I don't know about you, Anne, but I did. Did you have to do that for any of your kids?
What?
Get them a little snack before they could sit up so they
Uh,
wouldn't pass out?
let's see. The younger, well, one, my kids don't like me talking about them. They're grown ass adults.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
yeah, one of them was called it cereal pain. Come to the kitchen and pass out and be like, I have the cereal pain. And she'd want cereal. And she had poo breath. She had gastroparesis really bad. Um, and let's see. Uh, she was once she was diagnosed, we were at Mayo Clinic and we did the pain rehabilitation, and that's when they diagnosed her with dysautonomia. She doesn't have POTS because her heart rate doesn't go up, but she does have other stuff, and they started her on Midodrine. So she had to take them, set her time, wake up, take the Midodrine, lay down for 10 minutes, and then she has to wake up once so you don't get a massive headache, but it includes her blood pressure. And then they were talking about compression garments for the whole body and the blood pooling in the tummy, and that was adding to the gastroparesis. She did not get the EDS diagnosis, and she does not want it. She is, but that's not
It
where she's.
really is. I know. I've heard of a lot of people like that too, that they have all
I
the
get it.
they have all the things. They have the MCAS, they have POTS, or some type
Yeah.
of not even, but they have some type of dysautonomia, whether it's vagal syncope or orthostatic hypotension or orthostatic intolerance, whatever it is, they have some type. But then yeah, and it's like, I'm like, oh yeah, you have ileal hyper. I'm sorry, and they're like, yeah, I'm bendy, and I'm like, that's hypermobile. I'm sorry, like that's what it is, like. But
Yeah.
yeah, some people. But I
The
found it so
pictures,
helpful. I guess with my chart, with my background, I guess I needed that on my chart, or else
Right.
nobody would take it seriously.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, especially when it came to anesthesia, like no matter what I told them, like, hey, I use medical marijuana. You're supposed to tell them that because you're supposed to use more anesthesia. Because I thought that was my problem. I thought that was my problem. And then I found out, I'm an Ashkenazi Jew. That they don't tolerate anesthesia that well. We go through it really quickly. So I thought that was my problem. So I told them, I metabolize it really quickly. And they were like, okay, sweetheart. Like you tiny little thing. All right, yeah, sure you do. And I had an anesthesiologist literally look at me and say, why aren't you going down? And I was like, I don't know. Like, you're the one that's supposed to be doing this right now. Like, it all makes sense now, but I
I
needed that in my
sing.
chart. You
yeah,
sing?
Yeah, my father-in-law said, just sing, and they'll try to shut you up real fast. I'm like, okay. So I will sing Christmas carols or something. I don't care. And annoying as all get. All I want for Christmas is my two front teeth. They're like, she's still singing. Why don't you count back from 100? Okay. We're at 54. Give her another 50. And we're at
that's
27.
just
Give her another
ridiculous.
50. And they're just
I
not
I've
believing.
never had that issue. I feel like only my first one of my first colonoscopy in 2020 before I was diagnosed. When I got out of it, my doctor was like, I had to give you a lot of ketamine. You would not stay down. And I was like, oh, okay. Like my first, I was like, well, I had an endoscopy before, but nobody's like, you needed a lot of ketamine. You're gonna be out of it for days. I was like, and I was out of it for days. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Like, I keep you down, and I don't even remember any of it, but I'm sure I was just kicking. I think I was kicking with my legs and stuff, and they didn't want that to like keep giving me. Oh man, I was like, sorry.
They tried to use twilight anesthesia on me for my first colonoscopy, and I warned them that I have PTSD. And I I didn't think that was
Oh,
gonna be an issue, and they said that they were gonna be able to strap me down. Apparently, I fought the nurse, and he was a big dude. They said they immediately had to stop and remove me from the procedure, and he wouldn't make eye contact with me. And I was like, I wanted to apologize. I started crying because I was like, I am so sorry. I didn't mean any of it. And he was like, it's fine, ma'am. And I was like, it's not fine. I am so sorry. Like, I felt so bad. We can't do twilight anesthesia. Like, can't. Do they try to do the endoscopy?
Why don't they leave us like trigger? We do have trigger warnings, and I put them in the description and everything. But there's all the trigger warnings. We're talking about possibly vomit right now. Do you have sensitivity? Yes. Okay, we'll give you the good stuff. No, really. Yes. And they have like everybody ask you, especially if you're at a teaching hospital, like
yeah,
12
that
people ask
too.
you.
Absolutely.
And I
Mhm.
remember coming out of one procedure and it was really bad. And the nurse was freaked out. She's like, "Why did you tell them? Did you know you have problems?" And I'm, yes. And
Yeah.
well, why didn't you tell him? I did. And and then most recently, one of my doctors, I think it was the fifth procedure with him, and he said, "And you were puking the entire time you were sedated." If I'm
Um,
sedated, if I'm asleep and I'm puking the whole time, maybe make a note of that on my chart. Because
right.
I tell them,
That's
and I mean,
so
it's one thing
bad.
to sing until they put me asleep, and it's another thing if I'm having surgeries and I'm, you know, the whole
See,
time.
I woke up one of my surgeries. I woke up and had an asthma attack, but then all my other surgeries now, since it happened once, they do it better. So I've never happened again. I had one surgery, I woke up on like unconditional like throwing up. So then they made the tweaks, and then I don't know, and then now they just like they've really like I don't know. I feel like my
Whoa.
anesthesiologist really like cued in on what, but yeah, gosh, that's terrible. Are you kidding
I'm
me?
so glad. Like, that's freaking horrible.
What, and if a person has just POTS, do they have to, with anesthesia and surgery, what are the
For sure, I would tell
patients?
when you have surgery or any procedure, I would definitely tell them you have POTS. I don't know that POTS necessarily affects the anesthesia, like the anesthesia or anything. But like obviously the big worry is that, they don't want you standing. They want to be extra cautious, like you're a big fall risk. They're gonna not let you stand up to walk out of that building or anything. And yeah, I don't know that it necessarily affects anesthesiology, but I always tell my anesthesiologist, they always want to know. Most of my doctors, like POTS is usually the one condition that they're like, oh, you have POTS. Like, and they're like, okay, that's kind of the one they care about. And I don't know. But I'm in Minnesota. I don't know what it's like elsewhere. I feel like some places probably don't give a damn. They're probably like, what's POTS? Go ahead. Yeah, yeah. See, I'm very privileged. I feel like so privileged medically here because I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Like, I feel like the doctors just, I don't know, they're
I'm glad
believing.
that there's a location like that though, because it's so unheard of. Like here in Tucson, there is a POTS clinic, like in the downtown location, trying to
Yeah.
get into, which is exciting because there is a location. But besides that, there isn't anything in the city. With Anne, there isn't anything. So for people that are listening in, there are locations it's trying to find them, and
And then
sometimes
get
like
in.
unfortunately means traveling
Because,
and getting in. Yeah, seeing if they're
yeah.
accepting your patients, accepting your insurance.
Yeah.
So question for you guys, because I've been told it's nationwide. We're good on time. It's the end of February, and I was trying to get a refill on a controlled substance, and I go through palliative care to get that. And um, the bad thing about my palliative doctor, but they're fixing it because of this, is I'll say, okay, here's where I'm at, here's what I've done, here's what I need. They'll send in the script, but they don't tell me. Because most pharmacies have a policy that they're like, hey, we just got this script. We're working on it. We'll let you know when we have it filled. Well,
Mhm.
they also changed that policy. I don't know, because of the shortages or whatever, that I am not informed when they get a prescription called in. They'll tell me when, hey, you need a refill? We'll call in a refill, but the controlled substances aren't handled that way. You don't get refills. And so I ended up in the ER on Friday, and the ER doctor could see that my palliative had sent something in. So now I kind of look like a seeker because I just got my prescription called in.
And
And then I was like, no, I don't have it. And they're like, they called it in. I'm like, I'm calling them. Called them. They're like, no, we haven't gotten e-scripts all day, all week. We don't have your script. I'm like, okay, what do I do? They said, call the doctor's office. They can call it in someplace else. And like that's not how that works. They're not going to believe me.
yeah.
But I called my palliative, who called the big box company, who confirmed. And long story, but they asked me to check again this week. And they say it was a nationwide thing. And it's the red big box store of the one that has a, that's there's a bullseye, and then there's the big store, and
Ooh.
yeah. And then I have an infusion pharmacy for my port,
Yeah.
and I talked with them. They said it was a hack on the eScript, in a nationwide hack. So they are having terrible time. Are
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys get those type of medicines, but have you heard anything in the community that would support that that's happening?
I was just
I
about to file a controlled substance, but I haven't in a month or so, so I haven't experienced that.
I haven't
Correct.
heard anything about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
God.
about to fill my topiramate though, so it's a little.
I'd be
Should have filled.
curious if you called that store in your area and asked if they are having any problems with their e-scripts. Doesn't
Yeah.
I'll
matter
ask.
what patient it is. It's supposedly
Yeah,
all e-scripts.
I'll ask when I go because I have to go pick up my topiramate today,
Thanks.
and I will let you know.
Thank you.
We'll do a little science experiment.
Well, and that's well, it's another thing in having this podcast and talking and having TikTok in the community that we can build, and the information that we can share, because I think in the past, as I can't even call myself an elder millennial, but Gen
Oh,
X.
Yeah, you can be whatever you
uh,
want. It doesn't matter at this point.
I'm
huh?
a baby. Don't feel. Don't worry, you're in good company.
Okay. So no, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, that
Talk
we just had to listen
about,
to the doctors. There was
yeah.
no, you were alone. They were like, that's weird. Never heard of that. Oh, good luck. When I was 16, I had a palate expander. My face was extremely thin. I had corrective jaw surgery. My jaw moved in 8 different positions just so I could open it like this far. And then I had corrective jaw surgery, um had my wisdom teeth removed, because get this, if you know me at all, I didn't have a big enough mouth. They needed to make more space in my mouth.
I feel like I got a small mouth too.
Yeah.
So, but having a palate expander, having a narrow palate, having the narrow face, having the jaw that was totally not right, there were so many signs and symptoms that were classic as a young person. You mean you get up off the couch and you just fall like timber, like oops, you fell over? Well, did you drink water? No, I
Oh
was
my
inside taking a break from the heat. The hose wasn't available.
god.
Like, oh my gosh. Yep. Yeah.
I had a palate extender in 2nd grade through 4th grade. I never put 2 and 2 together. It's because I had a high, narrow palate.
Oh my gosh,
And
that's
my mom was in
wild.
orthodontics.
2 years?
2 years. They just kept
Oh,
expanding it because it wasn't budging. And
Uh,
so she originally put the first one in, and they took that one out, put a new one in, and then I had hardware on my molars. Those
uh,
molars got loose, so they put it on new molars.
mhm.
It was a whole thing.
did you
I never
crank
needed
it?
braces though. Huh?
Did you crank it?
I
Were
didn't
you?
crank it, they cranked it. It
I
hurt.
had to crank it every
Oh,
day.
no.
I had to put that key in there, and I was going to school, and I was crying, and I was just told, "Go to school. We don't take meds. We don't take Tylenol. There's no problem here. I don't know why you're crying."
No, my
Yeah, I
mom
never
felt
missed school.
bad.
I had to go to school every day. I
Yep.
only went to school with strep throat. My mom was like, "You're
Yes!
going to school." I never missed a day of school. Not, I
Even when
think
I
one
went
time
to
when
the
I was like
nurse.
in 2nd grade.
Yeah, you go to
Yeah. Oh yeah.
the nurse would call my mom, and she'd be like, "You're fine, go back to class." Like, my knees
Mhm.
literally felt like they were going to fall off, and, like, it felt like they were so unstable and, like, they were grinding and there was glass in there. Now knowing there's a lesion in my knee.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, it's totally compatible with childhood. So, it's one of those things where you look back at it and you're like, aha, ha, ha. It all makes sense. But okay, fine.
Yeah.
yeah.
The dentist said,
Yeah. I
my
always.
the grooves in her teeth are too small. I can't clean them. So we're gonna put sealer. We have this new thing called sealant. We're gonna put that on her teeth because they're too small to clean. But she's getting a lot of cavities. She says that the lidocaine doesn't, Novocaine doesn't work, but she's just feeling pressure. I'm gonna hurt somebody. We're just
So they give you that.
I never had.
trauma sharing at this point.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
See, I never had 12-year-old molars, and I never had wisdom teeth. I have like no teeth. I have like 6 teeth in my mouth. I swear, like there's no
They
teeth.
compacted?
What?
They didn't even grow in like compacted?
No, I just never got 12-year-old molars or wisdom teeth. Nothing. I got
Dang. What,
one. My
like,
first had 12-year-old molars on top, so they're there.
uh,
But they're
um,
probably gonna get rid of them or something because they'll just keep growing down because they don't have anybody to meet. And they always want me
yeah.
like prosthetics, and I'm like, no, I'm not paying for that.
No,
Shoot,
dude. Like,
I'm like,
I'm missing rollers back there. It's fine.
Me
You don't
too.
need them.
yeah, I've got a whole life without it, so what do I? It's fine. Yeah.
When my wisdom teeth finally did grow in, they grew in sideways because there was no more
Oh,
space in my mouth. So they had to
oh,
take them out. But I they went in, I was 16 when they went in to do the surgery. They put stitches in there, and I didn't realize that they were stitches when I went to go eat SpaghettiOs. And I thought it was a SpaghettiO back there, and I accidentally pulled the stitches out.
oh,
Um
oh.
I ended up getting a dry socket on the bottom. It healed okay. We're okay now. We're good. But it was really, really traumatic to the point where like I didn't go to the dentist for like years after that because like I was scared that at any point like that was going to happen again, like any dental procedure. The next time I did end up going to the dentist, I needed a root canal. So it's been like every time that I've had to go to the dentist after that, it's had to be like a really big procedure. So I just don't go.
I mean,
Oh man.
same. I go to a surgeon.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's
So it can
it's
just put me to sleep.
puts me to sleep and takes it out because it's not savable anyway.
Ah, I
Oh,
love that. I love that option.
That's why I found my tribe. Where's my zebra? Oh.
Seriously though, because like I don't need you digging around, scraping around. Like if even if they manage to gas me up because none of the numbing injections they use work. And they did end up using it's not lidocaine or anything, it's roxocaine that
hmm.
does somewhat work to an extent. My autism makes it to where all of these sounds and smells and feelings are worse than even feeling the damn thing.
Yeah.
So that entire hour and a half, 2 hours that I'm sitting there is an excruciating process that my entire body is tensed up through, and I never want to do it again. I'd rather just be put to sleep and have you take the tooth out. I'm fine
Yeah.
without it. I've got plenty more. It's fine. Like, it's okay.
My
Yes.
friend Alison, she's got 10 teeth and she does fine. So
Yeah.
Yes, we're fine.
I just had a bad gummer session, so my teeth might fall out. I'm hoping they stay, you know.
I'm just waiting
trying
for the
to-
day I can get glitter dentures. It's gonna be glorious.
Glitter dentures?
Ma'am. Okay, so there are dentures, yes, but there are dentures that where the gum lines are glittery. They are beautiful, and it's not like super like in your face like grills glitter. It's like a subtle but beautiful sheen glitter. It is where it's at. It is subtle but giving. It's just that's what I'm gonna be doing when it's time.
Well, if I lose these 2 front ones, that's what I'll do too.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Oh man.
So I also learned, if I'm going to keep it back on track, if we're talking about pots, pots. I learned something today where it's about where your blood pools to your feet, where you're something that's not the same. It's, what was it called?
Insufficiency or like does that make sense? A venous insufficiency, like in the legs, you mean, or something?
I think that's it. And I only knew of a very traditional, and we had talked at another podcast about like the poor man's tilt table test. And that was all about heart rate. And so for those of us who have low heart rates all the time, but it's the blood pressure that tanks, that's so we're not technically POTS patients or dysautonomia patients.
Yeah, the orthostatic hypotension. Did they like classify as like the neurotype, like orthostatic hypotension or anything like that, or they just say
For
dysautonomia?
me, it's just dysautonomia, and since I have the paralyzed GI tract, which now they've said is automatically just restarted by itself, and so I'm back to trying to eat and stuff. So um, you know, I also got a new diagnosis from a rheumatologist. What? Tell me what?
Nothing. I just like I love
Nope.
our bodies are so ridiculous. Like all this shit we deal with, it's just like I can't believe it. Okay, continue. What else? What else did you find out? Please tell me. Not
A
even
rare
amazed when you
type of arthritis, a spondylitis. I
spondylitis.
don't know. It's in your back,
Yeah.
and
Wait, is it
it's rare.
ankylosing spondylitis or no? Oh, it's a rare type. I don't think.
No, you just said that, and that's the rare type because it goes everywhere. It's
Yep,
prolific. It goes to my
yep,
hips and my knees and my feet.
yeah,
Yes, at
yeah.
50, almost 52 years old, the rheumatologist is finally looking at the stuff going, hey, you're in a lot of pain. Why aren't they managing your pain? Well,
Wow.
because they've they've told me to see my therapist.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
So, but maybe I'll start on biologics, but they want me to see an immunologist first.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because my geneticist says I have mast cell. It's like a no-brainer at this point. But they took me off all the medication to help that as well. So I'm in,
Mast cell?
huh?
Took you off all your medications for mast cell activation too?
They took me off all my medications.
Tell her what you were on.
IV Benadryl,
For how long?
6 years.
IV Benadryl?
Uh-huh.
How is your stomach alive? Wait, oh, I guess IV. So, um,
But then they stopped her out of nowhere.
Yeah, but wait,
Yeah.
okay. You can't take every day. That's called you get the rebound effects of ibuprofen if you take it every day. You can't take it. That's
Ibuprofen's not ibuprofen. It's Benadryl.
I'm sorry, Benadryl. I'm sorry, Benadryl. Oh, wait, IV Benadryl? Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking ibuprofen. Oh my gosh, that goes to the blood-brain barrier, and that's not a good not really my favorite medication at all. Oh my God. That's all they
It
had.
worked for me until they stopped.
They just
So,
stopped
okay.
her out of nowhere cold
What you-
turkey.
Okay, but you need for I have chronic urticaria, not mast cell, but it's the same thing, overactive mast cells. I get GI symptoms and hives and such. I just don't get anaphylaxis. So I'm on Xolair injections, which is the biologic, probably maybe that you're talking about. But I take Xolair.
That is one of them, but that's not the type they're going
Oh.
to try because I do have Medicare, and so they're gonna do a different one.
Yeah, but I do Xolair. I take famotidine twice a day. I take
It's in my TPN.
Roxazine and Zyrtec every day too. And I used to be on Doxepin. I can't believe they don't have you on anything like that. That's so wild.
They did. I was on all of that.
Oh, okay.
All of that. Okay. All
Okay,
of that. Many doses of that.
And then they just took it off you? Took you off of it?
Yes. Hospitals merged and they said there was no longer an indication, so they just stopped everything.
I'd be so effed if they stopped my medications. Like my meds, because we're really sensitive to medication. So when you find one that is helpful, like you hold on to that. You're like, this is perfect for me. I love this medication. It doesn't give me side effects. I need it. It helps my symptoms. Like, no way, my life would be over. I'd have dystonia going out of whack. My anxiety would be nuts. I'd have so much pain. No way. I'd be having hives and I'd be itchy every time, all the time. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't believe that.
You're describing my non-livelihood for the last 6 weeks.
How are you pooping and going into the bathroom? Like, what is making you go? Oh
You
my
pretend
God.
like I fucking eat. What's there to poop? What's there to pee? When I was in the hospital, I mean, somebody might have mistaken the pee for a Coke. I don't know. It's just, I'm not okay.
Wait, are you still getting IV fluids now or no? Or like, why do you have the cord? Do you get?
I am not supposed to, but I have some. So yes, I'm taking fluids to try, but it's this feast or famine thing. I've talked to one person who's giving me a clue as to what's going on. I do the fluids when I'm this dehydrated. I will say it's painful. It's like rehydrating a sponge and like every cell is popping. And then once my body is hydrated, then I start flushing everything and I get really sick and nauseated as well. And it hurts. It hurts like a mofo to infuse. And someone said, "Oh, your blood's too acidic." That happens to my child. And I'm like, acidic blood does that? Okay, well, great. No one's mentioned it. Well, talk to your nephrologist.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like your whole like salt
Because I
life.
don't have a doctor that wants to say hi to me. I have somebody who wants to say hi to you, though.
Oh,
It's a little, it's a little muffler. It's
is that like a puppet? No, it's a leg
no,
warmer?
it's a muffler, but it's a zebra, and I'm starting his little mane. And while we've been talking, I made a little ear, so he's your little version of this. But you get to wear him on your hands.
Wait, that's
And
for me?
yeah. And then it's kind of
my
like
God.
an anxiety.
No way. I called his hands. Are you serious? Oh, you want to? Oh.
She has
Damn
one.
topicals. They're the best.
They're puff stitches, and then you go and you squish and you squish them and you squish them away. You can squish them and oh, they're gone. And then you can squish them back. Squish, squish, squish. And then you can rotate them And you can be like, oh, I'm so nervous. Let's pet the muffler.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh, it's so cute. Thank you. Oh my gosh, stop it.
And
Oh,
if you don't like it, if you're like, oh my God, she's so fucking crazy,
I
it's
love
fine.
it.
I
I love
think your
it.
kitty cats would love
I'll
it. I
see it in all my
probably would
videos. You'll be like, oh
put
my
just a
God.
little bit of catnip in the puff stitches, if you know what I mean.
Wait, you. Oh my gosh. Oh, geez. Amberlyn is dead.
Really come up with it all.
Oh my gosh, that's so
You
funny.
just described my last 6 weeks. Of course, I'm going to be doing crazy ass shit. Okay,
Oh,
how
God.
else does a person survive?
Oh my gosh, that's so. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh man.
Amberlynn's over there like my mom. Like, tell him, tell her, tell her.
I'm
Like I'm some
soaking it
little
all up,
kid going, I,
man.
I got into the cookie jar, Mom. And yeah, tell her how many you ate. Tell the doctor how many cookies you ate. I ate this many, and
I
then
can
this
finally
many
tattle to
more.
somebody else.
What else? Oh,
Hmm.
do you know what? When I was a kid, I gave my cousin, she liked vitamins, Flintstone vitamins, and they had iron in them when we were
Yeah.
kids. I gave her a whole bottle.
A
Vitamins
whole
are good
bottle
for
in one
you.
sitting?
Flintstone vitamins are good for you. I was 8. She was 5. And I asked, she had to go to the hospital and get her stomach pumped.
She's fine, right? She's
She is
fine.
fine.
Did she like them though? I mean, at that point, I feel like
That's
you'd not
why
like
I
them anyway.
climbed up on the counter and reached to the very top because I was tall and got her the vitamins that were good for her.
And to this day, she's never had a Flintstone vitamin again.
Oh man.
That was
I
funny.
was like, what have I gotten myself into?
Oh no, sorry. The weather came and I just I wanted a coffee. So I had to mute it for a second and then I
Coffee.
I got distracted and then I heard someone's stomach getting pumped and I was like, what did I miss? About Flintstone gummies and your stomach getting pumped?
Flintstone vitamins that had iron in them were my little cousin's favorite vitamins. So I gave her her whole bottle of vitamins.
Oh,
She was 5
geez.
and I was 8 because they were
Oh,
good for you. And they were not good for you in that amount.
oh my
Oops.
God.
Bad part. I did it the second time, I guess. My aunt told me.
Oh
The
my God.
second time!
Why were you doing that?
I don't know. I was 8 and an only child.
Were you just trying to be the source of the drama?
Thought
Or
they
that
were good
audio?
for
I
you.
am the drama. Am I
I
the drama?
Should've done
No.
It's not like I
that.
went to the hospital. It's not like I was there. I gave her the medicine and she was sick and I didn't know why.
No, you
I
just saw the
was
aftermath and you're like, you know?
Oh my God.
we can cut all this out. Okay, fine. Fine. Fine.
Oh man. Jeez.
Alrighty. How you like us now, Allison?
Oh, love you guys. It's great.
Since I told you you were the star. Um, are there any must-haves in your life
For
for
pot.
your uh-huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Uh, totally, of course. I think of all the things I always think about. Okay, my favorite thing. My favorite thing to always tell people is about mini instant cold packs. I can't rave about them enough. I just have found them so life-saving in so many situations because you get out and you get stuck somewhere hot, right? And what are you to do? You know, I was stuck on an airplane for an hour and a half. They turned off the air in Jamaica, and I'm sitting there and I'm passing out. Like, what am I gonna do? And then I remember I have a mini instant cold pack. So they're just like tiny little plastic instant cold packs. You pop them and they're freezing cold. You put them on your neck, your underarm, your groin. They'll reduce your POTS symptoms because, you know,
Why
heat
don't
is,
the menopausal women tell me these things?
I don't know.
Those
I
are
don't know.
brilliant. Do you have a link?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they're not then you know, I'm very about the environment and I get they're not about, but you know, sometimes your life you gotta live. So, you
You're on
know,
a plane to Jamaica. Don't
Sometimes
talk
we
to me
need
about
that
the
single use.
environment, woman.
Well, sometimes that single use is what we need in that moment. We don't have time to go to a freezer and go pull it out of the freezer. Like we're on a plane
you're
going
stuck in,
somewhere.
you can't leave the plane, or yeah, you're stuck in a club, or you're just like you get stuck somewhere, you're in a hot class, whatever, you know, and you're all of a sudden your symptoms
Right.
are really bad because heat's a vasodilator, so it makes your blood vessels near the surface of your skin dilate. And obviously, the problem with POTS is that it makes our blood vessels very lax. That's why we get all the blood pooling because our blood vessels are lax. And then, of course, if you have like hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome or other connective tissue disorders, then your blood vessels are super lax, blah. And then you get hot, and then your blood vessels are like, "Oh, let's take all the blood." And then your brain's like, "But I need the blood. What am I going to do now?" And then it's just horrible. So I love it. Mini instant cold packs. I rave about them. Obviously, electrolytes are great. My favorite is Normalite. I just think they are the bee's knees. It's like I take Normalite and it really helps me. And it's formulated, you know, by two pharmacists who really took the time to make a good like product. So I don't know, that's my favorite. But obviously, you need electrolytes, whatever you like, Vitassium, liquid IV, drip drop, you know, whatever you got to do
Is
to
it
stay alive. You got to have some
is it
electrolytes.
spelled like the word normal and then light, Lyte, like Pedialyte, but we're normal light?
Yeah, like it's a YTE. Doesn't Pedialyte do that too? Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
normal and then
Yeah.
YTE, normal light. Yep, just one
Okay.
word.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I would like a 30. Well, they send samples too, so I would definitely get a sample first if you just to make sure you like it, you know. And it
Cool.
works for a lot of companies
Do
do. I
you
know LMNT does samples too. I think Drip Drop does as well. So sorry.
make a specific salt that you would suggest to people?
It kind of depends. So they say for people with like hyperpots or people who have high blood pressure, Celtic sea salt or gray salt is supposed to be good for people with high blood pressure. I don't know if that's true. I know some people with high blood pressure and hyperpots, hyperadrenergic pots, like don't do super well with salt, but that could be an option to try. My favorite salt right now is real salt. It's just from the Redmond, Utah. Just like an old, you know, ocean basically. And I love that right now. And yeah, I mean, they say, you know, like sometimes people say like sea salts and stuff are better, say they'll know the minerals, but you know, I just think any salt like will do. I mean, obviously
Right.
my fluids are just sodium chloride, so you know, pretty basic, but yeah. Yeah, you definitely need electrolytes too on hand always. And I always have a like an emesis bag. Trigger warning, metophobes. Sorry. But yeah, I always have a puke bag too because I throw up in the car all the time.
Yep.
With
I
Tyler
have
all
them everywhere.
the
Everywhere. I
time.
have one in my room. I have one in my
Do I have
I
them
have
all over? Yeah. Yeah, because the nausea with POTS is bad. I mean, obviously, and then other conditions can make it worse. So, yeah, the nausea is so bad. So I always have emesis bags on me too because, yeah, you never know when you're gonna throw up. So,
I don't know
um,
how affordable those are, but I do have poop bags with me at all times that are
Ooh.
purposeful for trash and other things in the car, and they're easy to put in your pocket, and you can put them a clip, on your bag, so they're super easy to find. And
You might be onto something, Ian.
yeah, those are really good to have by this too.
yeah,
Those,
they're these little
Yeah.
mufflers that have the bubbles. And then the little petting mane. That's what I'm on. I'm gonna make these. Also, did you get I message, the hot hands, the heat hand warmers?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Using those before you get your blood drawn. Uh,
Ooh. Yeah.
because because well, I hopefully Scarlet behaves, but a lot of times they don't want to use Scarlet in my port. They want to just, can I just see? Can I just see? Can I just look at your arms? Can I look? Can I see? No, no, you cannot. No, I just need a peripheral. How many vials do you need? 3. Let's talk to Scarlett. I need
Scarlett,
3
can you?
vials. Can we do this? Lay me down, turn me upside down 3 times, spin you on your head, and we'll be fine. Okay.
No, oh man. Gosh, what were we just talking about now?
Hand warmers and cold packs.
Animals.
And
Yeah, because
um,
that's what you made me think of that too. Like those mini instant cold packs, they have those. They're heated too. You know, the mini mini
Yep.
heating packs too, and they're just you same. You pop them and stuff too. Those are nice to have.
Mhm.
cool
Yeah,
beans.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
At the with the phlebotomy last time when I went in to do labs, I don't have a port, so they have to do a needle every time. Um, but I was so cold they couldn't find any veins. So they
Yeah.
had to use the little heel thing that they use for newborns, the little heel warmer, and
You're
stick
hooked.
it on me and just leave it there until I warmed up enough to where a vein finally came up high enough to where you could see it. Um, that was a first.
They didn't
It
just use the high heating packs because they use those all the time for me, but never what?
Yeah, that's right. He put the heating pack in there until I warmed up enough because I was cold, so cold.
Yeah, yeah.
That
They do that. They do. I do that. Yes, sometimes, but well, yeah, because I have this stupid genetic clotting disorder though, so I get really
mm,
angry. I get so angry when I do IVs because I get a blood clot every time.
oh, I bet
I'm like,
that'd be
don't
so
poke.
infuriating.
It's just they're
Like
annoying.
it's inevitable.
Yeah, they're gonna happen. So I'm like, don't poke me, but
I don't
yeah.
tell them I'm a hard stick anymore. I was at a university hospital, and they're like, I said, "Oh, I'm a hard stick," and so the student went and got the professor, and they're all like, "Gather around, children," and he put the tourniquet on as tight as he could. He was a large man. He walked
Oh no.
away. It was I was almost screaming in pain. Nothing was popping. Still couldn't get it.
Who
He was
does
so
that?
mad.
I do
Oh,
have
oh,
sometimes nurses do it really tight, and I'm like, you don't have to do it that tight. You really don't have to. And I know because
no.
I was a vet tech, and I know you don't need to. You just need to occlude the vein. You're not trying to cut off all the circulation of my freaking arm. Just occlude the one vein that you're trying to get to, okay, or a couple. Like, oh,
Yeah, if you're having a bad day, you don't need to take it out on me.
they're like, like, geez.
No, he was teaching the students what to do when a patient had the audacity to suggest they were a hard stick. Uh-huh.
Okay, because you don't know yourself.
No, no, I don't. So,
Usually, like my phlebotomist asks me, they're like, which arm's best? Do you have any good blood vessels? And I'm like, yeah, this one's okay, but whatever you get fine. I'm just like,
Right,
whatever.
yeah. It's your good luck.
Yeah,
It's on you at this point. It's your game, not mine.
yeah. And then like apparently my blood vessels are really tiny too, so they're always like, oh my gosh, they're so small. Like I remember when
when
I was in
was
the
the last
hospital,
time you had some water?
yeah. Yeah, they were trying to put a PICC line in the hospital in my arm, just in the room, which was really freaking me out. And they did the IV, and they're like, "Oh," or the ultrasound. You're like, your veins are too tiny. We're not doing this in the room. They're like, "You need to go to IR." I was like, "Oh my god."
Oh,
Okay.
thanks. Preach. I practiced.
Told them to be small, so I wouldn't have to do it in here. This is scaring me. Oh man. Oh,
Well, our time is running out for the show. It's been great to talk with you.
yeah.
We're hoping to have other guests that will share about their comorbidities with EDS and just in general once a month. So, well, this is my shout out to those people to reach out. Right now, it's to GotAnySpoons@gmail.com, but we might be changing the name in the near future to better reflect the podcast that we do. And I will put all of those notes in the description. And anything else, ladies?
Thanks for being our first guest. You did awesome.
First one. Wow. Thanks.
Yeah.
If I get to talk about pots, like It's my favorite thing. I remember learning about the autonomic nervous system in vet school, like in physiology, and like I was just like, "Whoa, this is so cool!" And then it turns out I've just autonomy, and I get to talk about it all the time. I love it.
Fantastic.
It was
All
setting
right.
you up already.
Yeah, it knew. It was like, you're gonna like this. You're really gonna like this. Yeah,
You're really gonna like it.
really gonna help you. And it did. Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you
Thank you
guys
That's
so
for
much.
having me. I appreciate it. This was so fun.
Thanks
All
for
right.
coming.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Talk to you later.
All right.
Amberlyn, are you gonna ever sign off on me? Hey.
I can't do it.
You did it!